Hi, Ryan Manchi with Basis Technologies. I'm sitting down with Rob Bullo, who is the Global Director of Brand for Epidemic Sound. Rob, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited to learn about Epidemic Sound. I feel like it's something that marketers should know more about,
Yeah, I agree.
more of an opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's learn what should we know.
Oh wow. Well, so I'm relatively new, actually very new. Let's be honest. I'm 8 weeks into this new role, and for me the opportunity was that we had this incredible company founded on some really uh, I don't know, really nice like integrity, like values, right? The problem was broadcasters needed, this is going back 13 years, broadcasters needed sound, needed music in order to bring their content alive, in channels. But the model was fundamentally broken through the fact that the music industry is, well, it is what it is. In many ways, it's fantastic. In other ways, it's less so. And so the opportunity for Epidemic was to solve that by simplifying the model massively, and giving the broadcasters a library of music which was suitable for their needs, and in fact, elevating their content. And then over time, the creator economy began to emerge, and so like a entirely new marketplace began to open up for us. And so the company's been kind of matching the pace of this massive explosion of content for the last 13 years. But actually, it's kind of funny. I mean, we're a global company, 600 employees worldwide, offices in LA, New York, Seoul, but we're headquartered in Stockholm, and the company has this line that we're kind of Sweden's or even the world's best kept secret, because folks don't know about us unless you do. And in which case, it's funny because I've been speaking to a lot of different people here at South by, and there's so many people who's like, oh yeah, I use Epidemic Sound. And so we are a very essential tool for a lot of people. But I think the opportunity we have now is to really build like our brand and scale in a way in which we haven't really had the opportunity to before, because we were doing great. And so, but now I think that we can move into the next step.
Yeah.
And so we're doing a massive study at the moment to fully understand more about our customers' needs, and ultimately solve with the same ethos as we had at the beginning. The very fact that you have content and you have music, and together they can create something exceptional. And but for some reason that process is hindered by clumsy licensing, no decent search. Nobody's really servicing that opportunity, which is absurd because we all need it and we all know how effective it is. But actually, the doing that fluently and delightfully is what Epidemic Sound is committed to doing. And so we're on the journey for now is a little bit of brand transformation to fully inhabit that kind of brand experience.
Yeah, that's fantastic. When you talk about brand transformation, and I know you're new, and you talked about, okay, you're doing that study. Is it really about driving awareness for you all now to those marketers that are out there to say, hey, take advantage of the audio, the music that's available? Is that really what the focus is, that you're trying to differentiate yourself?
I think it is. There's definitely going to be, like, awareness is going to be something which we are going to be focusing on. But I think it's really important to me, at least, that the brand signals at the heart of that. I think right now, I think most of the people in our category have relatively functional positioning. It's like, we're here to serve a purpose. But actually, the reality is that it's that opportunity to elevate content, which I think is so exciting, and it's the thing which we have this colossal competitive advantage over the other folks in the category that allow us to deliver it in a really unique way. And so, inhabiting that and explaining, or just offering people that. So it's not just you need to know about this, but this is actually what we're focused on. We're committed to helping you get to the right music in as quickly as possible, effortlessly, and in ways in which like relatively innovative ways to actually help you get music onto your content. So yeah, awareness, but with the brand at the heart of it, explaining exactly what's special about us.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think about just from as a as a marketer that's looking to talk to marketers, it's
Yeah.
always kind of fun. I do that in my
Yeah.
my role as well. And you look at the intersection, or maybe it's more the balance between paid and earned and owned media.
Yeah.
How do you look at that? Where are you all at today, and where do you think you're going to be when we sit down maybe a year from now?
Yeah, well, I mean, the company's done exceptionally well. Like, firstly with sales, so the sales team is phenomenal and has done, has built the company with fantastic product and really, really good sales. And arguably, a lot of our growth has come from like performance, just acquisition based work. But I think that where we'll be the next time we speak, a year from now, is with a much more brand-led focus, and so the opportunity to be more meaningful to people, so they understand why it is they'd come to Epidemic over someone else. So it's not just a price lever or a tactic like such as that, but actually the real value that you get from interacting with us. So that's where we're headed.
Yeah. So from a performance side, that's obviously working now today. Is it mainly focused on search? Is there account-based marketing? What kind of specific kind of like tactical strategies are you all implementing to drive that continued growth and momentum?
Well, I mean, so I would probably have to defer to my growth.
Okay. Yeah,
guy.
fair.
It's definitely not my field of expertise.
Yeah.
I rely on those guys to be exceptionally good at that. For me, there's loads of different ways in, leveraging what each channel is best for. And obviously, I'm not speaking to say anything you don't know abundantly. But what's really interesting is that we actually have two customers in a sense. There's the creators, and of course the in-house creatives at agencies and at corporates. But we also have the artists themselves, the musicians, and so we have a job to attract both folks who want to create content and put fantastic music under it, but also basically like a record label, with a full A&R team who needs to attract in musical talent. And so raising the profile of our musicians is also like a massive funnel for us, in a way in which we can use our channels in a slightly different way to other companies who don't have that both sides of that coin. Because some of our artists have millions of monthly listeners on Spotify. They're a big deal. They know what they're doing. So it's really interesting to see our brand come alive in both those two different contexts.
I love that the look at those artists as also the customers and partners. That it's very difficult to do your job effectively without them.
Really, this is the thing, and it's funny because library music has this, or royalty-free music rather, has it's a bit of a dirty word, and for some, and certainly for me, as coming from my background as a brand marketer, creating trailers and content, and not even wanting to interact with royalty-free music houses, because it just felt like, well, that's just a cheap option. But what's really really fascinating about this company is this roster of really, really fantastic artists who really count and really care. This is their craft. It's not just creating functional music. It's the real deal. And so treating them with that degree of respect, I think, is really, really important for us as a company to be able to succeed.
I love it.
Yeah.
What I feel like you've got an interesting vantage point of the industry. Most of the people that we're talking to today are U.S. based.
Yeah.
So you also have a look from a European, maybe a more global perspective as well. But when we think about the emerging technologies that are out there that have application across the industry, across industries, is there one that's you're really excited about, that you're energized, or is making you optimistic for what's ahead?
Well, I'm gonna say I'll have to name check AI, of course, like probably every other person who sat in this seat. But I think what's really fascinating to me is the kind of knee-jerk response to AI within the field of music is actually really terrifying for a lot of people, because it's challenging creativity in a way which hasn't really ever been done before. I think that a lot of us got very excited about machine learning and artificial intelligence when it was applied to things like driving a bus. And it's really interesting to show the cultural biases we have to things like driving a bus versus creativity, and how actually it turns out driving a bus is really, really hard, actually. And the humans are way better at it than artificial intelligence. And then it shows up now and just crushes it at doing art. And that is profound. Like, what do you do with that? That's a really, really challenging place to be as a creative and somebody who's involved in the kind of creative arts of culture. And I think for me, the opportunity with our company and artificial intelligence, backed up by machine learning, is the partnership between the tech and the human. So it's not about human or the artificial intelligence. It's actually the combination of the two, where we can have this wholly owned catalog of fantastic music and then leverage the kind of sidekick of AI in order to develop innovative tools on behalf of our customers, which actually get them to their goals faster. But it's not about replacement. It's an enhancement. It's like when the synthesizer first existed. Everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the end of music as we know it." But it wasn't, right? It meant that it democratized the ability for people to create sounds which they would need an orchestra for before. And for us, that's where this takes us.
Awesome. All right. Well, Rob Bullo, bullish on AI. I like it. Thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate it. And thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.